Hey there. So I wanted to share a little story with you about my New Mexico trip and coming up. One of the reasons why I decided to choose this specific location in the Jemez Mountains is because it's very close to Bandelier National Monument. And I had a really powerful experience there about 10 years ago that I want to get kind of like a little inside scoop as to what is going on with that land spiritually, what was going on with me at the time, and why I'm feeling really called to bring people out there. When I first went out to New Mexico, it was over 10 years ago. The first time I was out was actually with my parents. Numerous times doing lots of camping and wandering and really soulful work out there. Um, but when I went out there 10 years ago, I was actually going to look at acupuncture schools about, applying, going through the whole process. So I went out and I actually did a clinic session with this woman. She was a native New Mexican, and she was going through the process of getting her certification in acupuncture. And she was needling me, and what she said to me was really profound at that time. Have you had a chance to get out on the land? And I said, no, not really. We've been, kind of discovering and wandering around some of the more urban areas and Santa Fe, Taos, Albuquerque, which were all great. But she said, you have to get onto the land. And I agreed with her. And she said, no, because it's magic. They call it the land of enchantment for a reason. You have to get out onto the land. The ability to manifest out here is threefold. And, you know, she said this to me, and I really heard it. It was something that really stuck out with me in my time there. So after we had this session, and my parents and I go out to Bandelier National Monument, and we're checking out all the cliff dwellings of the Anasazi people, ancient civilization. This place is so old, and so we're walking around, and my father and I noticed this very interesting baseline about this place. We noticed it was very still. There was almost like this very pregnant pause almost, it was like you didn't hear the birds, the wind wasn't blowing. It was just very quiet and serene, that it almost stuck out to being noticeable. And so as we're walking, I'm reflecting what this woman said to me over and over again in my head. The ability to manifest out here is threefold. Get out onto the land. I felt like I was in the land. I felt like I was somewhere old. And so as I'm walking along, we get to a point in the trail where there's a T in the trail. So either you could go to the right, and there was a sign at the top, cave, or you can go to the left, going back towards the parking lot and back to the vehicles and all that. And so I'm there and I'm thinking to myself, man, I would really love to go to the ceremonial cave, but my parents wanted to go back because we had to get back onto the road and get out to Albuquerque because we were the next day. We had to check into the hotel, this and that. So I looked down to the trail, and all of a sudden, down from the right, coming from the ceremonial cave, the squirrel down the trail, and it stops right at my feet, and it's looking up at me. And it turns around, goes down the trail, looks at me again, comes back, and does it again. And I'm thinking to myself, I looked to my dad and I was like, Dad, it's like Lassie. And he just starts laughing. I was like, no, I really have to go. And he's like, okay. He's like, just be quick. Try to be quick. We'll be at the cars. Okay. So I take off and I start running down this trail towards the cave. And no joke, this squirrel is running side by side with me all the way down the trail, 5 miles. So I'm just really kind of flabbergasted that this animal is following me. And we come to the base of the cave where there's a series of 3 ladders moving up the side of the valley. And they're about 30 feet high, each ladder. And the squirrel's sitting there. I take a little picture of it. I keep its picture in my wallet. for years and years. And I thank it and I start to go up the ladders. And I stop and I look out at this really beautiful, expansive valley that just extends for miles and it's absolutely breathtaking. And I just feel this opening in my heart as I'm moving up these ladders. And I get into the cave, and there's this beautiful kiva that's built into the middle of the cave with a ladder coming out of it that descends down into the earth. And I'm there, and I'm the only person there, and I just start to pray, and I just start to give thanks and appreciation for the land and my connection to it, that I've been able to be there and acknowledge it. And it was very moving, and so I just left those offerings of my prayers there. And I knew that my parents needed to get back to Albuquerque. They were, so I was kind of feeling rushed. So I actually ended up leaving. I gave thanks. I left and I ran back towards the cars. And I'm thinking in my head the whole time about the ability to manifest there being threefold. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna test this out a little bit, I think. So in my head, I'm thinking to myself, how amazing would it be to see a hawk? Let's start here, let's start with the animals. How amazing. So I get into the car, my father drives off, and he points up, Donna, look, there's above. And I look, and there's 3 hawks circling above our vehicle. And I was like, whoa, that was quick. That was like instant manifestation right there. And and so we're driving some more, and I was like, okay, I gotta test this out again. Maybe that was just like luck. So I'm thinking to myself, how awesome would it be to see an elk? We're in New Mexico. I'm from New York. Where else am I going to see an elk? So I've never seen one before. So I'm thinking to myself, I would love to see an elk. So we're driving for a little bit, and we come around this turn, and all of a sudden it's just like, boom, this breathtaking view of the Valles Caldera, which is an inactive volcano. And you can just see for miles and miles and miles this beautiful bowl of a landscape. And in that landscape, you could see all these little black dots just kind of all over the place. So I say, Dad, pull over quick, get the binoculars, I have to see this. So he's like, okay. He pulls over the car, we get out, we start looking around. I have the binoculars, and I'm looking, and I'm not even kidding you. Every dot on this landscape was an elk. There were hundreds of elk, and I'm not even exaggerating. So I'm just flabbergasted at this point, because here it was again, twice, just that evidence of my thoughts coming into reality and materializing. So, I'm like, okay, let's try this one more time. I don't want to take advantage of this in any way, on a spiritual level or whatever it is. But I just want to ask for one more, and that is to see one of those quintessential rainbows that you see in all these really beautiful New Mexican photographs. And I would be really happy if I saw that. That would just, so we're driving for a little bit, and it's winter, and I'm getting a little tired, and it actually starts snowing. So I just decide, I don't think I'm going to see this, and maybe I'm just going to pass out. So I fall asleep, and we're driving for some time, and so we're on this highway. My dad wakes me up, and we're literally starting to get off of the exit to our hotel. We're in Albuquerque, and I look out the window because he's pointing. You have to see this. I look out the window, and I'm not even kidding you. So our hotel is right on the exit that we're getting off of, and this amazing, beautiful rainbow is shining down directly on our hotel. I was just absolutely floored. because this place was so magical. And, you know, one of the basis around this class is move into the alignment of what it is that we are creating for ourselves. What is our vision, our passion, our purpose? And this can really be anything in life. Um, the vision for, why we're here, what we are going to do in our relationships, our business. So really, what is it that we're questing around at this time? How can you gain clarity around these things? And how can you empower the process to actually put you into your fullest alignment with what it is that you want? And what better place to do it in the land of enchantment, in the place that manifests threefold. Hopefully, the landscape will reveal itself in the most beautiful, nurturing ways so that we can really connect to it on a very deep level, the earth, and to really realize that a lot of times when we move into this process of trying to discover what is in our heart, that it actually aligns with the earth and with people, that is for the highest good and not just this place of this want or need that we have.